Hi, it's Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live, number 127. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show today. We're going to have a lively discussion today about falsetto versus head voice. And so hold on to your horses. I think we'll have a good time. And this will hopefully be a very informative broadcast. Nuno, hi, how you doing? Nice to have you with me today, and glad to see people are beginning to gather around the discussion. So, hi, Chris. Nice to have you here today. So, hey, Selena. Nice to have you here, Selena. Welcome. Well, this is a discussion that I personally have gone through in my life. I took lessons for like 9 months. This is back in 1990, end of 96, end of 97. I had lessons for 9 months, and then my teacher moved, and then I was on my own for a couple years. I just listened to Seth Riggs's tapes on wherever I was going. Whenever I was driving, I was listening to the tapes, singing for the stars, and I was practicing. And then I started taking lessons again in 2000 from one of Seth Riggs's associate teachers and master teachers. And my very first lesson, guess what I asked? We were doing an exercise, something like this. And I said, what is that? Now, I had been involved in, with the tapes, and I'd had lessons, and, 2.5 years later, I still wasn't certain what I was doing up there. I didn't know. And he said, that's head voice. So, look, I understand this confusion and this wondering what in the world is falsetto versus head voice. And we're going to get right down to it today. Okay, Hassam, nice to have you here today. Welcome. So Nuno says, I don't know if this is bad or not, but today I have hit a G5 in, I think, mixed voice. Well, there's G4 and G5. I don't know, Nuno. I certainly couldn't do that. I could hit it in head voice, I think, maybe on a good day. Okay, so what kind of got this discussion going today, or at least in my mind, you guys, is a comment I got from a subscriber or a commenter, at least, on my YouTube channel. And he had just watched my other video, my pre-recorded edited video that's been out for several years now, and he just watched falsetto versus head voice, how to sing falsetto versus head voice. It's one of my videos. Maybe I can put it on a card and attach it to this particular live session today after the fact. I'll go back in, maybe put that in tonight. And so, hey, Peter, nice to have you here. Jose, nice to have you. Peter says, I hit an A4 in mix. Cool. Awesome. So here's the comment. Let me read this comment. He said, regarding falsetto versus head voice, they sound exactly the same. How can you consider two identical sounds to be different registers just because one is breathier than the other? You can sing in a breathy chest voice, and we don't call that a different register, chestetto or something. Your head voice is reinforced falsetto. Okay. These are really actually a very good question, kind of a good point to make here. So we're going to deep dive into this topic. But let me ask you this. Do you know the difference between falsetto and head voice in your voice? Yes or no? In the comment section below. Yes, No. Do you know the difference between your head voice and the falsetto in your voice? Yes or no? Now, I'll understand, and I have a great deal of compassion for those who still aren't certain. Like I said in my beginning story, 2.5 years into this, and fairly active in performing and other things, I still was uncertain about whether it was falsetto or whether it was head voice. What about you? Yes or no? You know the difference, or no, you don't? So I got several yes. Okay, Nuno says yeah. He says Jack says no. Jack, I understand. Selena, Patrick, no. Hey George, nice to see you. And you're back home. For everybody who doesn't know this, George Beeman was a resident of Paradise, California, and he's just now returning to his home after these many long months. So George, glad you're alive and glad you're back home again. I know it has been a long, hard road for you, and I can't imagine for all of the families and people, individuals who lived in Paradise. So I'm glad you're here today. Chris Martin says, no, I've just come to accept my falsetto and any other sound being a reinforced falsetto. Okay, so we're going to talk more about that idea of reinforced. I don't really know what that means exactly, but I'll give you some information here on what I think falsetto is and what head voice is and the difference between the two of them. So, hey Joe, nice to have you here today. Falsetto is in your break. Yeah, I would say that that's the case. But I can also go into falsetto below, well, oh, I don't know if I can go on. I really can't go into falsetto when I'm in my chest voice. I can't activate the falsetto in my chest. So I do have to be at least, I can do it at the A, which is in my break area because I'm a bass, basso cantata. So maybe so. Joe, I've never really thought of that exactly before. Chris says, no, I've come to, okay. And George says, yep. Answer to your question, yes. George is able to discern whether he's in falsetto or in his head voice. Nuno says falsetto is a disconnected sound, like you can't go from falsetto to chest voice, I think. It won't blend in, correct. So let's talk about that for a second. What he's referring to is, if I'm in falsetto, in order for me to get back in the chest, I have to reconnect the tone and to get that little clunk. And obviously I can do that a little bit smoother, but I still physically have to reconnect. And you can feel that reconnection. And so, yeah, it doesn't blend in the chest. Chris says, let me see, Nuno, falsetto, okay. Luker, Carumbo, hi. You can't distinguish between falsetto and head voice? I get it. I've been there. Simon, Jeffrey, hi. Nice to have you here today. So the discussion today is falsetto versus head voice. One of the things that we've already established just now is the tone of the falsetto coordination won't blend back in to chest voice. So I have to clunk back in. Yeah, whereas if I'm in head voice, it blends right in because the tone had never disconnected. The tone had, I had not lost that connection from chest up to the falsetto. Now, no, you're not. Lucas says, no, hi, I'm sorry for interrupting so rudely. Hope you get. You're not interrupting. That's the idea behind this live broadcaster, to interact. And today I really do want to get interaction. If you didn't hear the question, do you know the difference between your head voice and your chest voice? Yes or no? And as I mentioned, I had been in voice lessons for a couple years, or at least actively listening in on tapes and practicing and performing in musical theater and so forth, and I still was uncertain about whether I was in head voice or whether I was in a falsetto. So we're gonna let's maybe get a little bit deeper into that. So let me repeat this question or this comment that was made by one of my subscriber or commenter on YouTube. He had just watched falsetto, or how to sing falsetto versus head voice, and he said they sound exactly the same. Can you consider two identical sounds to be different registers? Just because one is breathier than the other? You can sing in a breathy chest voice, but we don't call that different register, a different register like chestetto, it's creative, or something. Your head voice is reinforced falsetto. Okay, so that's what has generated such thought on this topic, because it's a really great question that brings up a lot of confusion. We're going to solve that here in a second. Homemade Mass, you retracted your message? Daniel, hi, nice to have you here. Love these live broadcasts, so tuning in as I do weekly. Awesome. Yeah, great. Thank you for being here. Daniel Mark or Mark Daniel? I'm not sure which, but it's great to have you here. Okay, so let's dissect this comment a little bit, and because this is going to lead us to learn some things. Simon says that I think I'm starting to get it. I've been recording myself now for a while and watching your videos, so I've gotten so much better. Yeah, that is such a great way to, if you could, and I encourage this, and thanks, Simon, for making that comment. As we experiment with our own voices, we start discovering things, and it's the way that I've made so much progress and discovery in my own voice by just playing and recording and singing along with exercises and listening back and trying different things. And that really has made a difference for me. Homemade Mass says, hi, Georgie here. What type of exercise should I do to be able to sing the high notes with chest voice? As I always seem to want to go in head voice when I reach high notes. So, Georgia, I don't recommend it. So what you're really saying is, how do I, maybe the better question is, how do you sound like you're in chest voice, but be in head voice? Because we don't want to pull the bottom voice higher, higher, and higher, because frankly, you can damage your voice. And yet we hear a lot of singers who do that exact thing. Unfortunately, many of those singers have had to have surgery on their vocal cords. I can list, 4 or 5 or 6, and there are many more than that. One very prominent singer is Adele. Now, she had 2 hemorrhages, and this is amongst other reasons. One of them is that she's always clipping right at the top of her chest and not giving herself a chance to sing in a head voice at the top as she gets into those higher and higher notes. Rather, she just keeps pulling up the bottom. But she's not alone in this. It happens to a lot of different people, a lot of different singers, and many of them, high-level professional singers with lots and lots of money, and yet it's a problem that persists. Even in the more classical genres, it persists. There was an article some years ago, and I can't remember now who wrote it, but they were talking about this problem existing in the opera genres. So this pulling the chest voice too high is just a recipe for problems. So maybe the way to answer that is there are ways. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail right now, but there are ways to get a stronger middle or mixed voice and a stronger head voice so that it sounds very chest-like. Darko, hey, nice to have you here. Hey, Chuck, can you explain about twang? Is it okay to practice a few minutes in a day? Will not give me a lot of nasality, or because I feel some mask resonance and I feel great and feel ringing in my voice after. I don't. Yeah, so homemade masks, wow, really, yes. So now I got two things going here. Darko, you'll be fine. I'm not sure exactly what you mean by twang, but if you're talking about like the bratty, kind of a bratty sound, you'll be okay as long as you're doing it right. Don't do it loud and stay very, the way I teach it, the way I teach this kind of ratty sound is nay, 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 nay. You don't have to do it loud, but it helps, and we're going to maybe get into that a little bit. Actually, my video coming up this Friday, I address that a little bit. So, going back to homemade masks, let me just say, look, there's a way to sing into your head voice and not lose the power. Now I'm in head voice. Mom, 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 mom. It's not too bad. Mom, 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 mom. Mom, 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 mom. Got a little bit of a crack there. Mom, 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 mom. Now I'm coming off I still have a little bit of bronchitis, but now if I said, Mom, 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 and tried to pull the chest voice up, that's where the damage can come in. But it's possible to learn to sing with very strong head and mixed sound without having to pull the chest voice upward. Okay, let's get back to the topic at hand. So, you bet, homemade masks. I hope this has been helpful, and it will continue to be helpful. So let me just address what exactly is falsetto, and then we'll contrast that with head voice. If these were the vocal cords, and I were looking right here at your neck, okay, and I were looking at the vocal cords, it'd be looking like this, okay. If you're in falsetto, you're just on the very outer edges of the cords are coming together. There's not muscle or the body of the chord structure digging into it. And so that's one condition of this falsetto, is this very lightly are the edges coming together. Now, so that distinguishes it from head voice, which is including more of the body of the chord structure. Okay? So that's one difference, is that so let me say that that falsetto and head voice do vibrate in the same area of the body, in the head, right? And so the comment, this comment was made. He said they sound exactly the same, and that's why it's so darn confusing. They do sound the same. Listen. Which one was falsetto and which one was head voice? I'll do it again. I'll change the order. Well, okay, same order. What do you think? Well, one was falsetto and one was head voice. They're so similar in their sound, and yet, so let's make this not a discussion about that they resonate in the same place. They do. They do resonate in the same place, typically, unless I try and pull the falsetto down, which I can't get very far before I have to, before I have to stop and have to clunk back into chest. But fundamentally, they do resonate in the same place. So it's not about that they sound different or similar, and it's not about that they vibrate in the same place. What distinguishes, what's different about them is not even so much, initially at least, the sound, but the condition of the vocal cords. One is that in falsetto, just the upper area of the chord structure is just coming together lightly, and there's a lot of air passing through, whereas in head voice, you're getting deeper into the vocal cord, and there's, well, I'm not sure on the air, but there are certain muscles that are engaged in the head voice that are not engaged in falsetto. Okay? So there's certain muscular portions of the vocal cords that don't engage when you're in falsetto. Okay? So let me, any questions or comments about that? So that's a difference. There's a different muscular coordination between falsetto and head voice. All right, so backing up here just to pick up, let's go to, so Ink King says, hey, what's the difference between the light head voice and a light mixed voice? Can you demonstrate it? I don't think that, I think that probably the difference would be that I'm on different pitches, and so I'm getting different overtones depending on the pitches. But in terms of physical coordination, I think they're very, very similar. As you go higher, I think that there's less body. I think there's less adduction, but I'm not being scientific about that. I'd have to check with somebody who was a scientist. However, so I can demonstrate both mix light, mixed light sounds like a drink, light mixed voice and light head voice. But the difference is really where is the pitch, because let's just say it's right here. That's a G. That's my head voice. That's where the head voice begins for men. But if, let's say let's do it a note down, a whole note down. That's mix. So there's not a lot of difference between those two, except the pitches are different, and so there's some overtones that are present in some lower overtones present in the lower mix, and some of them missing in the higher head voice. Now let's say I go up a couple notes and well into head voice, B flat. Ma 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 ma. That's going to be different because there's really not much of the lower head. There's not as much. There's missing overtones from the bottom because I'm so far into head voice. So that's the major difference, is just the head tones or the overtones are going to be different. And whether it, so soft mixed voice, soft head voice, the difference is going to be the overtones. Chris Marvin says that's because the sound of pushing the chest at the top is way more pleasing than using falsetto or head voice. Yeah, Chris, and it's a shortcut. So people who can't mix or can't sing in head voice with power or strength, that they revert to the pulled chest, and that's what gets them in trouble. Or they choose not to because they're concerned that's going to change their sound, their signature sound. And so I wonder sometimes if a singer who's made millions and millions and millions of dollars and sold millions of songs is worried that if they start singing correctly, they're going to lose their audience because the fans expect a certain sound. The problem is that they lose the singer, or the singer loses their career. And so that's the trade-off. So you really want to start your career singing correctly. You want to start it singing healthily. and take the time and invest the energy and the money and the practice hours and so forth to develop the stronger, more powerful middle or mix and head voice. That way, you're able to do it all. Great question. Okay, so let me try and knock off a couple of these other comments, and then I'll jump back in because we need to get to a couple other really important points, differentiating between falsetto and head voice. Homemade masks, that would be wonderful to know how to sound stronger on the high notes. Thank you so much. So homemade masks, in short, it's a longer process, but it begins by figuring out what your vocal type is. Let me just stop now and say, if you don't know your vocal type, that is, what do you tend to do as you sing higher? Maybe in Chris's case, he's referring to like pulling the chest voice. Maybe you pull chest or have a high larynx. That's a vocal type. Or maybe you go breathy or light so you can get through the top. So you're light chest, no chest. Or maybe you tend to break into falsetto. That would be flip falsetto. So in the description below this video, there is a free PDF entitled Get Your Vocal Type. Get the free PDF, download it, and it will take you to a link to take a vocal test. And the vocal test, then there's a quiz. You take a quiz and you send that in, and it'll come back with the answers. And there's a little thing you can figure out what your vocal type is. And once you know your vocal type, then there's links to the videos there. You can watch get information about your vocal type, and there's free exercises to download to help you start learning how to sing high notes without having to pull chest voice, okay? So the first thing you got to do is you got to learn how to transition from chest to head, chest voice to head voice, without pulling up the chest, or without going really breathy, or without breaking or cracking into falsetto and so forth. So get your vocal type, and get all those links are right there. It'll save you lots of time. That PDF will. It's free. It's in the description below. I'm going to probably put it in the card up in the upper left corner of the video, okay, after the fact. Okay, so let me talk about another distinction between falsetto and head voice. When you're in head voice, there is a muscle activated called the thyroid arytenoid muscle. Sometimes they refer to it as the TA, thyroid arytenoid. That muscle is activated in head voice. That muscle is not dominant necessarily in head voice, but it's participating. There's another muscle called the cricothyroid that becomes more dominant as you go higher. This is all kind of, I can't really relate to it as a singer per se. At least I didn't earlier in my singing. I'm starting to understand a little bit more now, and so I can kind of feel the difference. In falsetto, the thyroid arytenoid, the TA, is not participating. It's not engaged. It's not being used. It's not activated. And so in falsetto, there's a difference structurally in the production of the tone. So even though they may sound, both of them sound light, as this commenter made, they sound the same, there's a fundamentally a muscular difference between the two. One of them has more muscle engagement. In the case of the head voice, that's the thyroid arytenoid is not, maybe not dominant, but it's participating in the tonal production. And the falsetto, in falsetto, that is not there. That is not, the TA is not activated. And so that makes a big difference. So when I'm coming back down from head voice, oh, sorry, that's falsetto. It just blends in. Well, I'm going to theorize it's because my thyroid arytenoid was there. It was still activated during that whole process. If I started down here and said, the thyroid arytenoid must be still activated because I haven't let go. The tone didn't disconnect. Now, if I had said, guess what's not activated now? Someone will correct me, I'm sure, but I'm guessing that that's the muscle re-engaging. Okay? Because I was in falsetto and it was unengaged on the way up. It disengaged. The tone disconnected. The tone let go. And so that's a result of one of those muscles cutting out. So there's a muscular difference between the two. And so what I teach is how to keep that muscle, like how to keep the tone connected. That's more relatable to me. So in other words, so that's all one connected line. Oh my gosh, I never thought I could ever do something like that when I didn't find out about this, you guys, until I was about 21, 22 years ago. I was about 43, 44 years old. And I had no idea I could do that. I stopped singing. I stopped at the E above middle C. I just went to the high C or higher, maybe D. So, but if I break the tone, if the tone disconnects on the way up and I go into falsetto, it's resonating in the same place or vibrating in the same place. I should probably say is more accurate. But I've got to reconnect it, and the tone was disconnected. So that's the fundamental difference between those two. Now, there's some other issues, and that is, if I'm in falsetto, I don't quite have the ability to, the intensity is somewhat limited versus my head voice. So, I can't really demonstrate this well. And I can be very loud with falsetto. That's the high A. That's the A above middle C. I can get more intensity because the chord structure, it's deeper into the chords, and I can get more out of that. There's more intensity that I can find, but I can't quite get that with the falsetto. So that's a difference, a little bit of a difference. I think in some highly developed falsetto voices that I've heard, and highly developed female and male falsettos, when they really get up high, it's hard for me to hear it, to distinguish the difference. And some highly developed falsettos start sounding very brilliant, very bright. But here's the thing: there's disengaged to some of the muscle. So what happens to the muscle if you don't use it? There's an old saying. It's called Wolff's Law in anatomy. It's used a lot in orthopedics because these physicians are dealing with restoring function of knees and hips and other limbs, so forth. If you don't lose it, you use it. If you don't use it, you lose it. And so I think the same thing applies to the falsetto. If we're singing in falsetto all our lives and we're not engaging that particular muscle, then you start losing the function. And so what do you get? Oh, So a lot of people say, well, why do I have that wobble? Well, it's because you haven't used the muscle in the voice. That's the F sharp. So that's the top of my bridge. And so you, by utilizing the full body of the chord structure in head voice, or at least engaging all of the muscle and keeping the tone connected, you're also doing yourself a service in terms of the longevity and the health of your voice through the years. Okay, I'm going to stop talking and let me take a couple more of these comments here. You guys are really loaded up on a lot of things here. So let me just see if I can get a couple comments here. So once you develop your voice, is singing, let me see, did I get that homemade mess? Did I get it? Wonderful. Okay. How do you, so Ink King asks, once you develop your voice, is singing above the passaggio as easy as singing in a light head voice? Or do you need more effort? No, it's actually easier to sing above the passaggio. I know that sounds crazy. I didn't believe it at first, but it's easier above the passaggio. The closer you get to the passaggio, the more the voice, the nervous system wants to go to chest. And so there's a bit more discipline there, I think, that has to be applied. But it's easier to sing above the passaggio. And so singing above the passaggio is head voice. Whether it's strong or light head voice, it's head voice. And I don't think there's any more effort. It's a little bit less hard, less difficult than in the passaggio. Homemade messes, thank you, very, very helpful. I actually have a sore throat today, so I think I harmed my voice a few days ago. Please be careful with that. Oh my gosh, our voices are so valuable to us, aren't they? Darko, hi. Saying hi to Ink. Nice to have you here, Darko. Well, thanks, Darko. Says Chuck is amazing. You're amazing, Darko. Daniel Mark, sounds like falsetto on the first one. Yep, you were right, Daniel. It was falsetto on the first. Thanks, Ink. The first one, Joe, you heard it exactly right, you guys. That was the first one was falsetto when I said, yeah, it's getting so that I can even hear that. It may be harder if I went up higher. Yeah, you can hear it. I can hear it. Okay, so Jess Simon, you were right. First one, exactly. So, hi, Parthopradium. Or Parthopratim. Anyway, great to have you here today. My dream is to become a singer. You're in the right place. Best exercise for head voice. Again, I recommend that you download the PDF below, get your vocal type. Find your vocal type, and then practice the exercises for your vocal type. And that will give you the best exercise for head voice for your voice, starting out of the gate. Darko says, I every day practice exercises like nay, nay, nays, mums, bas, wee, woo, gug, and I improve a lot. I practice this 2 hours a day. Feel good head resonance. Darko, you practice longer than I do, man. So that's dedication. John Calver, hi. Nice to have you here, John. So Darko says, I have one question. Need a lot or less breath for head voice? As you sing higher, the vocal cords elongate. They get longer. And as a result, they're stretching. And so they're getting thinner. Thinner in terms of thickness in the cord. And so it takes less air to sing higher, not more. if we use more air as we sing higher, it tends to tighten everything, and then you get a unwanted tension, and then it gets harder and harder to sing higher and higher. So it takes less air, and because of the pitch, it also takes it's also louder, because the higher the pitch, the more it engages the human ear. It's very penetrative. It really, it'll really get the ear going on those high pitches. You don't have to sing it as loud. Okay, Simon Jeffrey says, I think it would be very helpful if someday you started reviewed your followers' submitted singing songs with a certain category, say high notes, falsetto, etc. Now, Simon, that's an interesting thought. So review my followers as they submitted singing songs, or like within a certain category, say high notes or falsetto and so forth. Cool. I'll have to see what, where that leads. Thank you very much, Simon. I like that idea. How would that help you? I'm curious. You guys, anybody who wants to comment, how would me reviewing either my followers or like just reviewing some singers online, because I see that going on. I don't want to do it just because everybody else a lot of other coaches are doing it. In what way would that help you? I'm very sincerely interested in knowing how it would help you. Either to be, I think I get it that if I reviewed your voice in certain, like a song with high notes or whatever, I understand how that would help you. How would it help if I reviewed Ariana Grande, let's say, or Michael Bublé or Josh Groban or something? I'm curious, how would that help? I appreciate any comment below, just as brief as you want to be. Daniel Mark says, he says less breath for head voice and resonant sounds. Breath compression is used to hit higher, cleaner notes. Breathiness dries your throat. Okay, awesome. Nice answer, Daniel Mark. Nice job. Breathiness dries your throat, affects healthy cord closure and clean tone. Nice. Okay. A homemade mess says, you have a great voice. Is egg yolk with milk really amazing for fixing a voice to sound better fast? Homemade masks? I don't think so. There's, if you think about it, the vocal cords themselves they're not really bathed in the liquids we drink. It's more of what kind of seeps through or something like that, because when we swallow, the epiglottis closes over the top of the cord so that we don't inhale or aspirate fluids. And if we do, we start coughing, and the vocal cords try and get that liquid out so that we don't fill up our lungs with fluid and stop being able to breathe, right? I don't really have a formula for what's, for making the voice sound better. I think probably your best bet is stay very hydrated with water and get lots of sleep, plenty of sleep, and stay healthy. In other words, you don't want to sing sick if you can help it. But I'm curious, Homemade Mess, if you're having a vocal issue right now where you're trying to heal something. Just wondering, she said, or he said. Why do I think you're a she? Did you say that earlier? Maybe you're he. Ink King. Chuck, how do you know when your voice is developed? Is it ever fully developed? Don't the pros keep working? I know I've heard Seth Riggs talk about this. He was on tour with Michael Jackson multiple times, and I think the Thriller tour, he was vocalizing Michael 3 times a day. The first time was like an hour. The second time was like 30 minutes, and the third time was 15 minutes before he went on. and this is throughout the day. So, gosh, you get a person at the top of their game, like Pavarotti, who said he worked on getting the F above middle C for 10 years. When is your voice fully developed? I don't know the answer to that. Physiologically, I'm told somewhere around, for some voices, or I'm not sure if it's just male and female, but somewhere in the late 20s, physiologically, it's fully developed. Maybe that's the quick answer to that, if that makes sense. When you're like 28, 29 years old, something like that. Okay, somebody's message is being held for review. Angus. Oh, that's maybe what's being hid, or being, so let me just take that one out. Maybe that's being hid from you guys. Okay, sorry, that was my cousin. Let me see. Okay. Scared to take pills. All right. Sorry, that was my cousin. Okay. Omar, how much can I improve by the end of this year if I practice very, very hard? I am able to sing and tune and understand when it's off. Your videos are awesome, by the way. Thanks, Omar. You can improve a lot by the end of the year. You can improve it a lot by the end of the month and so forth. I mean, there are moments of plateau we think are plateau, but they're not, because we're developing, we're growing, we're improving, we're developing strength, we're getting balance, we're all those different things. So I think that's a great runway of opportunity for improvement. Ink says, I think it could help if someone is singing the same way as one of those celebrities, okay, and has developed some of the bad habits as them. Okay. All right, thanks, Ink. That's a good thought. Homemade mass, I am a she. Okay, she. Sorry for the reference to the male gender. Simon Jeffers, because when you listen to yourself over and over, you are more prone to blind sight. Any fault or inaccurate technique would be good to get your opinion. Good. Nice comment. Thank you. Yeah, I think, and I think that's a good point. And that's a good reason for lessons, by the way, is that it's always nice to have another set of ears listening in on what you're doing. And I think that's why pros still continue to study. The very best can still continue to get checked up periodically because they're pros. Now, there's some exceptions. I know there's some people out there who have never had a voice lesson in their life. I think I heard Donny Osmond was one of those. Just never had a lesson. Just got a wonderful gift, and of course he's taking care of it. And I know he's done exercises and things like that. So I'm probably talking out of turn, but I think I've heard that he's just never had a lesson. John Calver says, I think the review of students idea would be good to show that where people are going wrong or right. I'm not sure how many would submit their voices. Yeah, that's the issue, It would be very valuable for others, I'm sure, to hear, but do you want to show all the warts, Excuse my voice there. It's, like I said, I'm getting through some bronchitis this last couple weeks. Okay. So, I'm going to say PB, I'm 16 years old. Should I practice to become a good singer? Yes, absolutely. You can, if you haven't seen this, go search on my website, Teenage Boys, and there's a couple really great videos that would really be helpful for you. So, totally yes. Stay with it, because you can make some progress, even though you're going through your vocal change now. Absolutely. And Joe says, yes, you'd be able to hear our weaknesses and possibly help us with our problem areas. The question is, Joe, are you willing to let everybody else see that? I just realized I have a vocal range of 5 octaves. Well, Nuno. Wow. Okay, that's pretty darn good. All right, you guys. So let me just check here and see if Are there any other questions about falsetto versus head voice? One of the things that, here's what I answered. I said to this commenter, this may be one of the best questions I've received about the difference between falsetto and head voice. Even after 2 years of listening to and doing exercises from tapes, etc., I still was confused about what my own voice was doing for the exact same reason, that they sounded the same and they were vibrating in the same area. But this is not, falsetto versus head voice is not about sound per se. Both head voice and falsetto vibrate in the same place in the body, so in some ways they do feel similar and sound similar. I think that they sound more similar than they feel. I can tell the difference now just by feeling it, but early on I couldn't. But this is about the condition or coordination of the vocal cords, not the sound. With falsetto, the TA, the thyroid arytenoid muscle, is not activated. It is not participating in the production of tone. In contrast, in head voice, the TA is activated and participating in the production of tone, albeit it's not the dominant muscle, but it's still active. It's still active. In contrast, in head voice, the TA is activated and participating. As a result, this allows the tone in head voice to blend into chest voice. In contrast, when you try to blend falsetto into chest voice, you must first activate the TA. This is why there's an abrupt interruption in the tone when trying to blend falsetto into chest voice. Now, I mentioned a couple other things, that we're activating the full muscle, so we're using it and developing it with our head voice, whereas falsetto, if you don't use it, you will lose some of the muscle in the cord. And as we age, we particularly begin to notice that, because we get the dreaded wobble. And it's because we have not used certain parts of the voice, and falsetto is one of the reasons. Okay, so Nuno says, okay, Darko asks or says, Chuck, I practice more mix and head voice this 2 months. I'm high tenor, and I'm teacher tells me to not forget chest voice because I will sound more feminine if I only practice high registers. Is that true? So Darko, if you're in the gym and you're exercising your legs and you're only exercising the quadriceps, the front, you're lifting your legs up and you're exercising the quads, but you're never exercising the hamstrings, the back of your leg. What do you think is going to happen over time? You're probably going to have a weakness in the back of the leg. And you may even be susceptible to injury, and maybe you're going to be a little off balance. Maybe you're not going to have the fast start or the quick stop. Some of those areas. I would say the same is true with the voice. We want to exercise the bottom, the middle, and the top. And we want to revisit that almost every day whenever you practice. So I would say that I don't know that you'll lose it, but you may not have, you might lose something of it, maybe not all of it, but there may be some weakness in it. So I would say do a full body workout, so to speak. Ink says, Chuck, isn't the difference between falsetto and head voice is that falsetto is breathy and head voice has closure to it? It's not about sound, Ink. It's not about sound. I can do a pretty breathy head voice. And it's vibrating the same place as falsetto. It's about the musculature. So review the video when it's back online, and you'll see that there's some muscles missing in falsetto. No, says Darko, I think that yes, you need to practice your chest voice too. Omar Rashid, using your content as well as that which is on the internet, and with my friends' opinions, can I become a great singer without the need of a vocal instructor? It depends, Omar, on your gift. If you're a gifted singer, yes. If you're not gifted or exceptionally talented, I would say no. George, no wobble here, Chuck. Awesome. PB says, "Sir, is it good to sing a song too much, or shall I practice only vocal exercises?" Do both. PB, do both exercises and songs if you can. Right now it's tough, I know. Being 16, the voice is going through the change, and you probably got a break in it. But it's possible to reconnect the bottom to the top. Because when my voice changed, I stopped singing it at the E, because I thought that was the end, but it's not. It's possible for you to find that again. So it takes a while at your age, but it's there. It's there to be rediscovered and used. When you come live again. Okay, so I go live every week at the same hour, okay? Wherever you're at in the world, every week at the same hour, same day, same hour, okay? In the United States, in the West, I'm in the state of Utah, it's 2 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And then when Daylight Savings Time is done, then I'm Mountain Standard Time. All right, you guys, I got to run here. I've got some students coming in for lessons this afternoon. Thanks for a great discussion. I hope that this has been beneficial and helpful to you. Thanks for your great comments, and I appreciate the insights that you shared today with me and with our fellow singers. So thanks very much. I'm Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing, and today, Power to Sing Live. Remember, you can sing higher with beauty, confidence, and power, and I'll see you inside the next video. We're going to end the stream